and breathe in the lessons of mindset in our own journey. So in this episode, we are going to talk about how to let go things, how to let go of relationship that is not serving you, how to have a very healthy mindset, and so on. So welcome to Nish with Diksha, Maija.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here today.
So moving on. Let's talk about what sparked your interest in psychology and mindset, Maija.
I think I was interested in psychology from a very young age. As a kid, I was always someone that sat back and observed people's behaviour rather than being in there playing with all the children. I always was so fascinated by just understanding what was going on. And I won't go into too much detail, but I've got quite a complex family, lots of strange family relationships, should I say, and mental health problems within my family. So I think I was always really interested in actually understanding why these problems were happening, and also how, as family members, we could support those in my family who were struggling with mental health problems. So yeah, that really spurred my interest in psychology to begin with. I studied it at school and then went on to study psychology at university and then work for the NHS as an assistant psychologist, where I was predominantly working with people with dementia and their family members. So that was a very interesting and rewarding job.
Yeah. Can you share one moment with working with dementia and, with the family members? Because, I worked as a care worker as well for dementia people. And that's why I wanted to know more from you.
Oh, I love that. We've got that in common. I've also worked in care quite a lot with people with dementia. And it's really interesting now, actually, because my grandmother was diagnosed with dementia about 2 years ago. And it's been so helpful for me and for the family, just having that understanding of the behaviours that come about with dementia and how to manage it. But so working for the NHS, I ran cognitive stimulation therapy groups for people with early stage dementia, which was basically groups to help stimulate the brain. And it was actually after COVID, so it was a really good time to bring that connection back, where the people with dementia could then have that social interaction and also make sure that they were doing activities to really keep stimulating their mind, because that is the main reason that dementia often progresses more quickly, is that people's brains aren't being stimulated enough. So that was a very rewarding side of it. And then I also did counselling one-to-one for the family members of the people caring for dementia. Okay. So that was to help them manage the difficult behaviours, reduce their own stress, and just learn how to be a better carer for the person that they're looking after, but also make sure that they were caring for themselves as well.
That's very interesting, Maija. So moving on, Maija, how has your own mindset changed the most in 5 years?
Okay, so 5 years ago, I'm guessing, 5 years ago was just after COVID, right? So I graduated uni. I was meant to travel around South America and obviously couldn't because of the pandemic. So I went back home to Jersey in the Channel Islands, where I'm from, and immediately went into a finance role, which felt very misaligned with me, and I burnt out very quickly. And at the time, I was really stuck in this place where I had very low self-worth. I'd just come out of a very toxic relationship during university, and I was constantly people-pleasing and just not believing in myself, to the point where that's why I was following a career that didn't feel right for me. I just was doing things based on what I thought I should, or what other people's versions of success looked like, which was maybe financial stability or freedom. And I think since then I've gone on a completely different path. I've moved to London, which was the best thing for me in my personal growth journey, but also started my own business as a mindset coach. And I think actually since starting my business is where I've learned the most lessons and realized that actually my version of success can be completely different to my family members or my friends, and that's okay. So I'm now following what truly matters to me, which is having more freedom in my work, having a greater impact towards other people and being able to help people through what truly matters to me. And in following that path, I've had to let go of those habits of people pleasing, those tendencies, and really build my sense of self-worth and confidence so that I can grow my business and achieve my vision. So yeah, I'd say that's the main shift really, is just really shifting from this place of self-doubt and low self-worth to actually having the confidence to build my business, to do things like this. Because if you would have asked me 5 years ago if I would be going on podcasts with people or going to networking events, speaking at various events, building my own community, I would have not believed it at all. So I think the big shift has just been having that belief in myself.
So beautiful, Maija. So beautiful. Can you talk about burnout? Because you talked about burnout in the financial sector. So how do you know when you are burning out from something that you're working on?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I think people often ignore the signs of burnout. Sometimes we just feel like we have to keep pushing through. But burnout is often when your body starts to give you the signals, and it could be sleepless nights, it could be constant fatigue, headaches. Maybe you're actually just starting to lose interest in things, following your normal nutrition plan or your diet, craving more sugary foods because your stress response is higher. There can be so many symptoms, eczema flare-ups, things like that. But generally, a lot of physical symptoms that relate to our nervous system being dysregulated. But this can often be a cause of actually not what's going on in our body, but what's going on in our mind, which is putting too much pressure on ourselves, trying to hustle, to prove, or overbooking our calendar because we're actually avoiding something that's going on deep down inside us. So people tend to just get stuck in this cycle of overworking or doing too much because they feel guilty about resting and slowing down, and they feel like they won't maybe get that promotion or reach that next level with their business if they are to actually slow down. But often the most productive thing, and the thing that actually gives you clarity and space to keep growing, is to just pause and really reflect and let go of things that actually aren't serving you anymore.
But how do you know when the thing is not serving you anymore?
I think it's really important just keep checking in with yourself on a regular basis, and also to set goals of actually where you want to be in your life. I always, with my clients that I work with and with myself, take a really holistic approach, looking at all different areas of your life, and actually not just what you want to achieve in your career or business, but what you want from your relationships, what you want from hobbies or your health, and how you really want to feel. And I think if you can regularly check in with actually what's draining you or what's holding you back from achieving these things, maybe it's the people around you aren't supporting you anymore in the way that you hoped they would. Maybe you've outgrown a certain stage or of people or an environment in your life. Maybe it's the habits that you have. I know we're all guilty often of doom scrolling or like checking our phone first thing in the morning. But actually, if these things are preventing us from actually doing the behaviors that move the needle forward to where we want to be, then we need to figure out what's going on, why are we repeating these actions that actually aren't helping us, and then we need to let go.
Do you think people are born resilient, or can resilience be built at any stage of life?
I think everyone has a degree of resilience that they're born with based on their background, their family, what their family has been through, and intergenerational trauma. But I think resilience is definitely built through the life lessons that we experience. And that doesn't have to mean that you've been through some big trauma, but actually just the small things that we go through on a day-to-day basis, and how our parents teach us to manage and respond to stress and emotions is so important for building resilience. And that's why I think it's so important as a person to actually really understand yourself and how you respond to stress, and kind of in times of difficulty actually not labeling emotions as good or bad, but actually just really identifying with how you're feeling and making a plan to overcome things versus getting stuck and judging yourself for going through a hard time. And I think if you can support others around you to also have that mindset, that's where we can really all sort of build that resilience together. But often, I know, for example, my parents are very, very resilient people, but they've not always had that same mindset where actually it feels safe to talk about the situations that happen. And I know that's in a lot of cultures as well.
I agree with you as well.
It's hard. It's kind of pushed under the rug. So sometimes we have to build that resilience alone. Other times we have family members or people around us to help us build it.
So what's the biggest misconception people have about mindset?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. And I think sometimes when people hear mindset work, they think I'm just telling them to be more positive, which is definitely not the case, because actually that reinforces toxic positivity, which is where we then don't feel safe to express our emotions. So I think the biggest difference between mindset work and just telling someone to be more positive is that actually we're learning that we're just learning more about ourselves and how we respond, and understanding the root of maybe what's triggering us in certain situations, and then how to shift the thoughts that we experience towards it so that we can move forward in a more positive way. And it's about, rather than just thinking positive things all the time, which I think some people sometimes mistake because we hear practice affirmations and all these kind of things. It's actually about just knowing that sometimes our mind is just playing tricks on us, telling us these thoughts to keep us safe. But we have the power to shift them and realign our thoughts in a more positive way that actually drives us towards the future or the person that we want to be, to identify with.
Okay. So when you're talking, I'm thinking myself, like, I want to know more about toxic positivity, Maija. What is toxic positivity?
So toxic positivity is essentially where you have the expectation to be happy and be in a positive mood all of the time. And this is often where this, like I mentioned, kind of negative emotions get shunned upon, or people then start to feel guilt or shame for experiencing sadness or negative emotions. And when this happens, if you are surrounded by people who reinforce toxic positivity, maybe they say things like, oh, just smile. I know I've had this a lot from someone in my family. Chin up, like, you'll be fine. It's okay. Just get on with it. Like, put on a brave face. And sometimes, yes, we do need to just get on with it. But actually, this teaches us that it's not okay. It's not safe to express that we feel sad or we feel angry or we feel hurt. So this reinforces this loop where we then keep pushing these emotions down And where this is often actually most detrimental to us is in our health, especially as women. There are such high rates of health conditions in women who don't express these emotions, because when we don't express emotions, they get stored in our body and they come out in other ways. So like I mentioned before with burnout, maybe eczema flare-ups or physical health conditions. So it's so important to actually, when our emotions do come up, to feel them and to let them go, rather than to kind of just keep trying to be happy and positive all the time. We have to feel all kinds of emotions and not necessarily view them as good or bad, just view them as a signal that there's something deeper going on that we need to understand or work on.
So how do you know, Maija, when to, like, if there's a situation where something isn't right? How do I know that I need to keep my brave face up, or I need to be angry, or I need to be sad? So how do I know that? How can I know that?
I think you just have to listen to your own intuition. And it's hard, I know, if there's people around you that you maybe don't want to upset, or you don't feel safe to fully express in that situation. So I guess it's about listening to how you feel. If you do feel safe to just be vulnerable with those people or in that situation that you're in, then do. And if you don't, if you feel like actually it's going to be more detrimental to you or to the relationships in that moment, then maybe it's something that you let yourself feel those emotions in that moment. And once they've cooled down and you've processed it and viewed it from a different perspective, then it's time to have that conversation or communicate why you were feeling that way.
Okay. Yeah. So much of clarity. If someone is feeling stuck, what's the very first mindset shift you would suggest they should make?
If someone's feeling stuck, I would often say just stop thinking about the thing that you're feeling stuck on. Because the more we think about something, the more stuck we feel. We're constantly trying to think of an outcome or a way out of something, that our mind gets so clouded with all the different options of things to do, or the fact that you don't feel like you have a way out at all. So actually, I would say just do something completely different. Do something that ignites some spark of joy or creativity within you. Because when we have that kind of light sparked inside us and we feel fueled to do something, we often get clarity around new ideas. Even as well, if you are feeling stuck and maybe overwhelmed, frustrated because you're doing too much, actually just slow down and pause and just take that time to reflect, but also just bring more glimpses of joy and something that lights you up. Maybe a creative activity that you used to do that you haven't done in a while, or connecting with an old friend that when you speak to always makes you feel good and gives you new ideas.
Yeah. I have a friend back in Nepal, and we used to talk about, mindset. We used to talk about when we are feeling low, when I'm feeling low, when she's feeling low. And she told me one time, she told me that if you are feeling low, Diksha, go outside and go to the nature and have a walk, and then you will have that dopamine. Is it dopamine?
Dopamine,
Yeah, dopamine. Yeah, dopamine level up, and then you can come back and you can do other things. So that really worked for me as well. Yeah, I started doing that, and it's really helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's being in nature is so great for our mental health. And I think just being out in that spaciousness as well, and just connecting with nature, it can bring you so much clarity. That's something that I always do. I don't know if you saw, I think was it about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I just booked myself a last minute staycation in Surrey, and I just deleted Instagram and LinkedIn for 2 days, turned my phone off, went on some beautiful hikes, and I just came back feeling reset, because sometimes we just get so stuck in this doing mode that we actually just forget to kind of reconnect with ourselves. So yeah, being in nature is definitely one of the top things I would recommend if someone is feeling stuck.
How do you personally know when something isn't right for you? A path, a relationship? What are the signs to look for?
Again, I'd say listen to your body first, because actually your body often gives you the signals before you can even process it in your mind. And I think back to old relationships that I was in. I mentioned before I had quite a toxic, unhealthy relationship whilst I was at university. And actually during that time, I was suffering so much with my skin, my eczema. I had like gut issues at the time. My weight was fluctuating. All these things were going on with my body, and I was ignoring the signals. I had really bad anxiety as well. My mind was just constantly on repeat, but I was just pushing it away. And the more you push it away, actually, the more it builds and gets worse. So I think, and the same again, when I felt misaligned in my finance job, I felt really unhealthy in my body as well. So obviously that is quite extreme example. Sometimes it doesn't always escalate and you are feeling physically unwell, but actually it can be as simple as like you keep getting this pain somewhere, like in your neck. Actually, what is going on there? Or you keep getting headaches. Or even just you're noticing that your mind on repeat, you're constantly experiencing doubt, thoughts about whether the situation is right for you, or even thoughts actually just about whether you are feeling good enough in a relationship. Actually, if you're having doubts about your self-worth, then it's probably that this person isn't making you feel safe. And then that's a sign to actually look and see whether that relationship is making you feel how you want it to, and really getting in touch with what your needs are, what your basic needs. We all want to feel safe, loved, respected, valued, whether that's in a relationship, in a job. And if those basic things aren't feeling met, then that's a good signal to just try and get clarity there on what's not right, and see if there's any changes that you can make. Sometimes it might be hard to leave a job or a relationship, but it's about having those open conversations with whoever the other person is in that party, and maybe bringing more of what does bring you joy. If you are feeling like there is a lot of negativity and things drawing you back, just bringing some more focus on actually what is positive, what does make you feel good, so that you aren't stuck in this energy of feeling really misaligned. Because sometimes we can't actually change our circumstances, especially if, for example, where you're living. I know one of my clients recently, we were talking about how she's just signed a contract on where she's living and she actually feels really unhappy there, but she knows that it's temporary and it can't change at the moment, even though she feels misaligned, because she knows she wants to be living somewhere where she feels like she has more freedom. But I said to her, how can you bring more freedom now on a day-to-day basis into your life without actually changing the where you live, the situation, because you can't change it right now? So it's about maybe scheduling in, like just having that time in your schedule where you can go and do something random, go for a nice walk or go to a yoga class, or just bringing those glimpses on your day-to-day life can be so powerful if you can't be exactly where you want to be right now.
So I have a friend, she broke up with her boyfriend like 2-3 years ago, and but still she cannot let go of him. So how can you let go of a thing or a relationship?
In relationships and actually in life, because our attachment styles really impact how we show up in our work and career as well, not just in relationships. But I think the main thing I would say to her is shift the focus away from him, as hard as that can be, and just get really clear actually on her attachment styles, what's making her feel so stuck or so drawn to him, because actually often it's these patterns that we've developed from such a young age, from how our parents cared for us, how our friends interacted with us, that then make us feel like we need that person to give us reassurance or safety. So I'd always say just getting that knowledge and understanding on what your attachment style is, but also just building some more self-love and self-worth, because I think the more that you learn to love yourself and treat yourself with respect, the easier it is to let go of people that don't respect you or don't treat you how you deserve to be treated. And I'd say that's definitely something that, well, for many of my clients, but also for me personally, I had some tricky relationships where I still felt really drawn to them and like I couldn't let go. But the minute I started working on my mindset and actually learning that it's not me, it's like them in a way, and that I am perfectly okay who I am, and I deserve to be respected, and I deserve to be treated well, and building my sense of self-worth, that's when I actually started to let go of not just romantic relationships, but also friendships that felt misaligned as well.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the friend who gave me the advice for going outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you both
yes.
give each other advice. That's
Yes.
nice.
Yeah. So yes, she has started doing, sort of little things that makes her happy. So yeah, she's in a good place right now. So can someone become too self-aware where they analyze life instead of living it?
Yeah, I think especially if you have the tendency to be an overthinker, being more self-aware can be tricky because you are constantly analysing your own patterns. So because I would say I'm quite an overthinker as well.
Yeah, me too.
And you do that personal development and personal growth as well. I think it's still super important to be self-aware, even if you are an overthinker. But I think just actually knowing that you can let go of these things, like keep noticing what your patterns are, but don't get so stuck in them. Actually focus on moving forward from them versus being stuck in the past and always trying to overanalyze everything, and just being in flow, and I'll come back to just being creative, being out in nature as well, allowing your mind to switch off. And that's why I think also the journaling is so important, but also just mindfulness, being able to actually switch off from those thoughts or notice them and let them go versus being stuck in them.
So, I had one guest, Janagi Pun. She talks about journaling. She had been journaling about 15 years, and she is a very positive, very calm person in person as well, in social media as well, in person same. And I asked her what's the reason behind it, and she talks about journaling. So does journaling really help in calming people's mind?
Journaling has really helped me over the last few years, and it's always something that I would recommend to any client that I work with, because when you get so stuck in your head with thoughts, maybe it's to-do lists, maybe it's pressure on yourself, maybe it's self-doubt, whatever it is, we can get so stuck, these thoughts going round and round our head. But the minute you actually start to write them down and release them from your mind, it's almost like they get released from your body as well. But it helps you to rationalize them. So you're not just going from 0 to 100 worst case scenario in your mind. You're able to actually think, right, this is happening because of an old pattern or experience, but this isn't true to me now. So I can now reframe this negative thought that I'm experiencing and release it and move forward from it. So there's so many different types of journaling, and I think I don't know if the lady that you're talking about, it's more like gratitude journaling, because people do talk about that a lot. But I think the most important thing is to not use journaling as a tick box exercise. Actually use it to really understand yourself and get clarity, versus using it as like part of your morning routine. Because I think that's what a lot of people do, is like, I'm going to get up every morning and do my gratitude journal, and that's going to make me feel great. But then we just do it as a tick box exercise, and it's not actually necessarily helping. You need to use it to just get that level deeper and use it for self-awareness versus for like a fancy morning ritual.
Yes, she showed me her journal and it was like blank page, and then she just writes whatever happens on that day, whether it be good and bad. So yeah.
That's a really powerful way to do it. And I mean, I personally do also love gratitude journaling, so I'm not saying don't do it. And it's also a great place to start if you haven't journaled before, is to follow a guided journal, because it can feel less overwhelming than just writing all your thoughts down and feeling like you're not knowing where to begin. So start with like a guided journal and then move into just free flowing, writing down your thoughts and things as they come up. And you could do it on a day-to-day basis, or you could do it maybe when something triggers you, and then you can take a moment to step back. Like when we spoke about before, you asked me if you feel angry or upset, how you express. So in that kind of moment is a great time to actually just take some time to journal and reflect. And then when you need to go back and approach a conversation with someone, you have a more rationalized response and a clearer perspective.
Do you think social media helps or harms people's mental health and resilience?
Yeah, this is a great question. I think it depends on how you use social media. I always think we should audit our social media and your Explore or your For You page and see what's coming up. And the best way I love to do this is think about your identity. So thinking about your current identity, your future identity, who is this person that you want to be. So if it's someone that is super healthy and driven and ambitious in their business, but your old identity is someone that loved to go out and party all the time and don't get me wrong, I will eat a McDonald's from time to time or a Wingstop, so I'm not saying that that's bad. But say your food, like you're making unhealthy food choices all the time, you're kind of eating a lot of fast food, or you're obsessed with looking at like Instagram influencers. If that's still coming up for you, then that's dragging you back into a past identity and stopping you become this future version of you that you actually want to be. So the best thing to do is actually to use your Instagram algorithm to your advantage. Search inspirational things, like search things of, say you want to be someone who travels lots with their laptop and works from abroad, and you want to be super healthy. Get more of that on your feed and unfollow what's no longer aligned with the person that you want to be. And then we actually start subtly manifesting these things more. But I think you have to think that not everyone that shows these like lovely lifestyles, and it's not all real as well. So just having that in the back of your mind, that actually a lot of this is edited, or people are paid to do, and their life, it might not represent their actual life. It is just people showing the highlight reel of their life. So I think just being cautious, but also using it to your advantage, and then it won't harm you. But the more you get stuck in those habits of doom scrolling, I think TikTok can be really dangerous for it as well. It can be quite harmful for people's mindset, and maybe also people then tend to put a lot of pressure on themselves to think, why have I not achieved this yet? So use it as a tool for motivation and inspiration versus comparing yourself and judging yourself.
With so much pressure today, should we normalize quitting or changing direction earlier instead of pushing through endlessly?
Do you mean in terms of career?
In terms of work, yeah.
I think we should normalize that it's okay to quit and to follow a different path, whatever stage you're at, because I think people often feel a lot of guilt and shame around quitting, thinking that actually it shows that they're not strong enough, not good enough, not resilient enough. But actually, if someone is following their intuition and knows that that path isn't aligned for them, that should be encouraged as an act of bravery for quitting and following something that is right, versus like, why have they done that, or they gave up too easily. So I think maybe, yeah, we do need to foster more of this culture that actually it's okay to do whatever you want to do. It's okay to start your own business. It's okay to, if you want to follow a corporate life, that's also okay. But I think people do judge too much what other people do. But that's often something that's going on for them that they need to let go of rather than
you. Yeah. You know, I remember when I asked this question, I remember my partner. So he was British Gorkha Army in the UK, and then he quit after 5 years. He quit the British Army. In Nepal, British Army is treated as the most respected job in Nepal. And when my husband, he said that I am leaving army, everyone was so upset. They were crying. They were saying, don't quit, otherwise you would be of no use. You have no help in the UK, and many more things. But my husband, he still went ahead and he quit the job. And then now he's doing business, and his business is doing very good. Like, he's doing very well. And now people are saying, oh, you have done a great job leaving the army and everything. So yeah, it's when you said about quitting early is okay. Yeah, that is very okay if you know what you want to do in life. Yeah.
And people, the sad thing is people often celebrate you only when they see success. And when you're making that decision, they doubt you because you're not following the common path. That's something I've actually had to manage quite a lot myself with starting my business, as well as all my friends work corporate jobs back home. And yeah, people don't necessarily understand it. Maybe they support you when things look like they're really successful and it benefits them. I don't know. But I think just fostering this environment of encouragement for anyone for just being their authentic self and making decisions that are aligned for them would help people grow so much more. But then actually maybe it's just something that we need to work on internally, is just not worrying what these people think in the first place.
What daily habits or routine help you protect and strengthen your mindset?
Journaling, like we spoke about before. So I tend to journal in the morning. I actually do something called future scripting, which is where I write out my day from the end of the day and saying what's happened in an ideal outcome. So saying how like a fantastic my day was. And then that helps me to think about the actions and the mindset that I need to have moving forward for the rest of the day.
Okay. That's very nice. Yeah.
I also usually do EFT tapping. I don't know if you know much about EFT, but It's called emotional freedom tapping. I don't know if you've seen it, where people do the... Oh, sorry, I'm bashing on the microphone there. So you have different meridian points on your body. And, I was mentioning before about how emotions are stored in the body and trauma. So EFT basically works by saying statements. So you start with statements that are sort of keeping you stuck. So, for example, I have an EFT that I sometimes do about public speaking, and you might say, I worry that I'm a bad public speaker. And then you go around to talking about positive statements that reinforce the mindset shift that that you are a confident public speaker. And how it works is it essentially releases the old beliefs and stuck emotions that are stored in your body. So I tend to do that. I have a few different ones that I do, but most mornings as well before starting my day, just to release anything before starting my day and get myself in a empowered mindset. As well as exercise is just a non-negotiable for me. Every morning I will do something. I listen to my body and see what I feel, depending on the time of the month. But generally I will go to the gym and do some strength training, or go for a walk or a run, even just doing some stretching or something more gentle. But moving your body is just such a powerful way to start your day feeling more motivated and energized. But yeah, I have so many rituals, things with my nutrition as well, just to make sure that I'm focused and have the most clarity as possible. I love things like adaptogens. Do you know adaptogen, like coffee or anything like that?
I know coffee, but I don't know about that.
So there's lion's mane is really good for clarity of mind and focus. It's a mushroom. And I have a coffee that has it in the coffee. So having that as an alternative for normal coffee in the morning actually gets rid of my jitters that I sometimes get with normal coffee, and just gives me clarity of mind. So that's a great ritual. I use London Nootropics, and they're really great.
Okay. London
Tropics.
Nootropics.
Yeah. It's a brand of coffee, and they have
okay.
the different adaptogens mixed in. So that's been really, really helpful for me. But also just noticing actually if any thoughts pop into my mind throughout the day that are doubting or me putting too much pressure, for example, I'll try and just take a minute to pause and reflect and journal throughout the day if something is coming up that I notice is like making me procrastinate or stop doing a task.
In your view, what matters most? Discipline that keeps you steady, or burst of emotion that spark change?
I like this question. Probably a bit of both. I think you need a balance. I think we all need discipline because we won't be motivated. It's really hard to get yourself motivated sometimes. You need to have that structure and discipline and routine, and you're often not going to get to where you want to be unless you have the discipline to keep going with it and keep repeating the things that you need to do, the important tasks. But I think if you are disciplined all the time, you lose joy and like excitement from life, really. It's boring if you're just going to the gym and eating healthy 24/7. You need to have you need to cheat day every now and then. Or you need to bake a cake or something that lifts your mood.
Yeah.
And it's the same with business, I think. If you're doing the same tasks on repeat, yes, you might get the job done, but actually, are you then going to have that like exciting new idea that then fuels you to keep going with your business, or maybe follow a different path that actually feels more aligned or exciting. So I think it's good to have a combination between discipline and structure, but also maybe even scheduling time in your calendar for just free space for creativity and doing something that brings you more motivation.
What do you think? What do you think about affirmations? Do you believe it works?
I do, but you have to do the mindset work as well.
Okay.
If you deep down don't believe that you are, say the affirmation is, I am worthy of love. This is one that maybe if you struggle in relationships, if you've had negative, difficult relationships in the past, but you keep saying, I am worthy of love, but you actually haven't done the mindset work to understand why you feel unworthy and to actually shift those thoughts, then saying the affirmation on repeat isn't necessarily going to help too much. It may help a little bit, but then when patterns or when situations come up again that trigger that feeling of unworthiness in you, you're still going to react and feel stuck. So I think affirmations are great and I do practice them, but you need to get that level deeper as well and focus on rewiring your thoughts and then using affirmations as an addition to it. But that's why I love the EFT tapping as well, because that kind of includes affirmations, but it also releases what's stuck in your body.
What's one mindset belief you hold that many people might disagree with?
I think more and more people are starting to believe this now as well. But something that I've definitely learned over the last year is that rest is productive. And I think it's so hard because you listen to people like, I don't know if you know the Hormozis, Layla and Alex Hormozi. And they kind of, people that are so driven in business and so successful, and the most successful people in the world wake up before 6 a.m. Like, you hear all these things and you think success is working from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. every day and not having a break. And you think, okay, that's what I need to do in order to be successful.
Yeah.
So then people tend to feel a lot of guilt and shame around not being productive all the time. But actually, rest is so productive. Our body needs that time to restore itself and recharge so that we can have the best mental state and clarity and energy in order to be productive.
Yeah. To be successful in there.
Exactly. Yeah. But also just that time to slow down and reflect as well, because if things in your work or business aren't necessarily going exactly how you want to be, if you're constantly going full steam ahead and trying to do more, you won't notice the little things. But sometimes when you slow down and rest, you actually understand and get clarity on things a lot better.
If you could give one mindset lesson to the next generation, what would it be?
I think really focus on your own journey and do not compare yourself to others. And it's easier said than done because we grow up, we go to school, we compare our grades, we compare our looks, we compare everything at school to others, and it can be so hard not to. Then you see social media and you're constantly thinking, okay, why has she got this lifestyle and I don't? Or why is she skinny and I'm not? But we're constantly comparing, and then we constantly don't feel like we're enough. But actually, the more we just stay in our own lane and focus on what we do have, what our strengths, what our skills, what our qualities are, we can actually just get to where we want to be so much faster and let go of that comparison. But you can also use comparison to your advantage as well. So I would say for the younger generation, use it as fuel for growth versus using it to hold yourself back or to judge yourself.
But how do you know, like, when to set boundaries in that?
I think not just auditing your social media, but auditing who is around you, who's giving you advice, what your friends are saying to you, what your family are saying to you. And if it's not helping you or supporting you in a positive way, then it's not to say that you need to cut that person off completely or let go of them, but it's just to say that you need to focus on actually what's important for you, and just maybe set boundaries with your time or energy, or not get into conversations with people that you know might make you feel low, make your self-worth feel lower or feel diminished. And you can actually just say, no, I don't want to have this conversation with you. It can feel hard, or it can feel brave, but I think trying to stay away from like that gossip or talk that reinforces those beliefs. I think as women, we do compare ourselves to others a lot more, but even just trying to, I think that's when we need to just be also a lot more supportive of each other and think, okay, if she's doing this, I don't need to compare myself to her, but I need to say, actually, wow, like, that's amazing that she's achieved this. And if she can, so can I, versus judging her or criticizing her. So it's a tricky one, because I think when you actually build your self-worth more, you are able to stay away from that judging and kind of comparing to others. But we need to be taught that from an early age. We don't need to. We can teach ourselves at any age, but this is what, like, I love to say to anyone now, like raising children, or even to my parents and my brother, and raising my nieces, because I don't have any kids of my own yet, is just teach my nieces to build their sense of self-worth and love themselves from a young age. And then so many of these challenges can be resolved or viewed from a different perspective.
Okay. Beautiful, Maija, beautiful. It was so beautiful, like, that I get to think about my own actions and my own, thinking. And I think it really gave me a little bit of clarity about journaling as well. I think I'm going to start journaling as well.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I'm going to slow down a bit. If I think I'm rushing too much, or if I think I'm working too hard, or if I think I need rest, I think I'm going to take rest now. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So it was really eye-opening for me. Yeah. Thank you so much, Maija, for your insight, your stories, your theory about psychology. What I get to know after having this conversation is that it is all about you. You can have all of the control within yourself, and whether it be a bad relationship, whether it be a bad career path, you can always shift your mindset. You can always shift from that area, and you can go to another area which will make you more joyful, more happier. So yeah, thank you so much for the conversation, Maija.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've loved this conversation, and some of your questions have got me to reflect a bit more and to think as well. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, please do not forget to follow me, and also please share it with someone who you think that he or she might need help with their mindset today. So until then, keep growing, keep building, keep creating your own niche.